The poor scholar threatened to cut ties with me unless I fed his cousin premium bird's nest. Fine. If you want, give it to her. Then stop supporting me too. Well, cancel our betrothal. When I become the top scholar someday. You won't share in my boundless fortune either. Perfect. I'll thank him for sparing me the marriage. In my past life. After I funded his path to becoming top scholar. He persecuted my father. Demoted me to a concubine. And elevated his cousin to primary wife, leading to my bitter demise. This lifetime. I'd rather feed silver to dogs than support him. Let him dream on. The moment I stepped off the carriage, and Pei-yuan confronted me. Su Liyun. Why has my cousin's monthly silver for bird's nest stopped? He lifted his chin arrogantly. Resume, it immediately used the finest snow swallow. Otherwise. Don't expect to see me these days. I tapped my ear. What did you say? Do you think you're some hot commodity? Or do you just think I'm desperate to see you? Still treating me like I'm that love-struck fool from my past life. Sorry. Sis, I've reincarnated and woken up. He frowned. My mother fell into the water last year. My cousin saved her. The winter water was freezing cold. And she developed a chronic illness. She needs to eat bird's nest and donkey hide gelatin to replenish her chi. If you make up this month's payment today, they'll forgive you this once. Is his forgiveness worth something? Do I really need it that badly? And Pei-yuan. Get your facts straight. Your cousin Wang Shirero saved your mother. Not mine. Why should I supply her with bird's nest-Great snow bird's nest at that? Do you think my family's silver just blows in with the wind? Or is stupid written on my forehead? Besides, your cousin is strong and healthy, with rosy, glowing skin. Does she look like someone with a weak constitution? Are your eyes just for decoration? If they're useless, donate them to charity. He didn't know his mother wasn't saved by Wang Shirero at all. When she fell into the lake, it was my coachman who rescued her. Wang Shirero just pretended to pace back and forth by the lake, barely getting the hem of her skirt slightly damp. I had urgent business then. So I told the coachman to drive the carriage ahead. She, however, stayed behind to put on a grand show of self-sacrificing devotion. And Pei-yuan was a mama's boy, growing ever more enamored with this distant cousin who'd come seeking refuge with their family. Truthfully, they'd already been secretly plotting behind the scenes. But in my past life, I was blind, still believing their sibling bond was genuine. I could slap myself for falling for such a worthless piece of trash back then. Wang Zura's face darkened. She forced herself to calm down and began performing a tea ceremony. Su Liyun. Does having money give you the right to act so haughty? My cousin's mother is your future mother-in-law, equivalent to your own mother. I saved her. Yet you show no gratitude. You're nothing but a modern-day Mr. Donghua. After eating a bit of your family's bird's nest, you dare humiliate us with such vile words. Cousin, I won't eat it. I'll never eat it again. Being falsely accused is one thing, but dragging you into this humiliation, trampling your dignity under food hat's unforgivable. She may not care about you, but I do. Wang Shirero finished her tearful speech, casting a deeply affectionate glance at Pei-yuan. Veins pulsed fiercely on Pei-yuan's normally composed forehead. Gritting his teeth, he declared, Fine, Su Liyun. If you won't give it, then don't support me either. Being the kind-hearted soul I am, I'll grant his wish. Today I'll inform the academy to suspend his tuition. We're off the hook. When I become the top scholar someday, you won't share in that heavenly fortune either. Excellent. I'll thank him for sparing me the marriage. In my past life, I encountered the destitute and Pei-yuan being humiliated on the street. I was struck by his talent, and pitied his unrecognized talent. I secured housing for him and his mother, enrolled him in the finest academy, and encouraged him to pursue the imperial examinations. Fearing I might wound his scholar's pride, I secretly paid his tuition fees. To his face, I deceived him, claiming the academy's headmaster was desperate for talent and had waived his fees. Little did I know his talent was matched only by his lack of virtue. After becoming the top scholar, he betrayed me to the emperor, accusing my father of smuggling salt. Our entire family fortune was confiscated. He was promoted 3 ranks, demoted me to a concubine, and elevated my cousin to his wife, with a cruel mother-in-law to boot. I wasted away in misery. Heaven had eyes, granting me rebirth. This time around, I wouldn't spend silver to feed a dog, let alone him. He could dream on. I slapped my thigh and gave him a thumbs up. Excellent. Scholarin, you have real backbone. Words alone aren't proofs. We draw up a written agreement. My maid, Xiao Shi, was sharpied and promptly fetched ink, brush, paper, and inkstone. After pressing his seal onto the annulment contract, and Peiyuan lifted his rigid jawline. You think this retreating strategy will force me to notice you? How shallow. Today I sign this annulment. Should you ever wish to beg me back, it'll be harder than climbing to the heavens. I actually laughed in exasperation. Do you really think I still care about you? Where did he get the confidence to think that? Xiao Shi urged me. Miss, please sign quickly. I shook my head. No rush. And Peiyuan wore a smug expression. Can't bear to sign. Huh. You're just stubborn. Haven't you seen what Xiao Shi is holding? I glanced down. Oh. Locust flower cakes from in Peiyuan's favorite shop. Today's cakes were indeed bought for him. But sorry. After buying them, I reincarnated. And Peiyuan stood with hands behind his back, chin lifted high. Even if you begged for these cakes today, I wouldn't give them. I, and Peiyuan, am not a man to be trifled with. Yeah, right. I smiled faintly. Mr. N, you've misunderstood. These cakes were meant for the dog. And Peiyuan froze, his expression darkening. Su Liyun, you're stubborn. I won't see you again this month. That's your punishment. With that, he pulled Wang Shuero away and strode off. I nearly burst out laughing. Thank you for the punishment. Throwing away the locust flower cake would be wasteful. But I didn't want to bring it into the mansion and cause trouble. Suddenly, I spotted a ragged youth crouched in the corner. Here, take it. It tastes pretty good. The youth didn't even lift his eyelids, his voice hoarse. No thanks. It's for your dog. He heard me. I gave up and started to turn back. Unexpectedly, the youth lifted his head and glanced at me. Our eyes met. My heartstrings trembled, and I nearly knelt down. Earlier, I hadn't let them beat and Peiyuan senseless. It was because I feared he might one day return to officialdom and seek revenge. After all, business rivals can't match official power. And this man held grudges. That's why I hadn't noticed this gentleman. How about I take care of you? I blurted out to the young man. To my surprise, he lifted his eyelids, his eyes sparkling. What are the terms? My hand trembled as I wrote down the conditions. At that time, he was just a down-and-out commoner. But one day he would become a dragon among men. With a flourish, I signed the agreement. After welcoming this powerful ally into my household, my heart finally settled. From that day on, I felt no fear toward Peiyuan. That evening, feeling light-hearted, I took Xiaoxi to the Immortal View Pavilion for a few drinks. We ordered the signature dish, Golden Drunken Pigeon, which the proprietor claimed was the last serving available that day. As it arrived at our table, Xiao Zai's eyes lit up with delight. Ready to dig in. Bring this table over. And Peiyuan's icy voice cut through the air. My cousin celebrates her birthday today. She specifically requested this dish. What a small world. The neighboring table was occupied by Peiyuan and his cronies, with Wang Shuero sitting prominently among them. Wang Shuero dabbed her lips with a handkerchief. Cousin. She hasn't seen Su Liyun in a month. Yet she still follows her all the way to the restaurant. Her face is thicker than city walls. And Peiyuan remained silent. I laughed, pressing my forehead. Are you kidding me? How can someone be so brazen? Has she never eaten before? and Peiyuan approached, lowering his voice. Su Liyun, why are you shouting so loudly in public? Utterly uncouth, not a shred of feminine grace. You eat this dish often enough. Today is my cousin's birthday, what harm is there in letting her have it once? And why the sharp tongue? Before I could respond, the proprietor interjected. Mr. N. This dish uses rare ingredients. 200 taels of silver per serving. 200 taels. That's steep. Only a family as wealthy as ours could afford it regularly. And Peiyuan, ever concerned with appearances, retorted. It's not like we can't afford it. He could afford it because it was all charged to my account. His group of friends clicked their tongues in admiration, egging him on. Brother Peiyuan, surely we can try this signature dish today. Wang Shuero chimed in sweetly. Cousin, I'm craving it. Caught between a rock and a hard place. And Peiyuan firmly ordered the waiter to bring it to their table. Seeing no reaction from me, a hint of satisfaction flashed across his face. His brothers teased him with laughter. You just had the signature dish brought over, aren't you going to invite Miss Su to join us? And Peiyuan frowned. No need. Don't indulge women. Thanks to my financial backing in his past life. And Peiyuan was well off and generous with his brothers. They fawned over him daily. Brother Peiyuan, you're the man. You've got Miss Su wrapped around your finger. Brother Peiyuan is right. What business does a woman have with so many opinions? If she doesn't listen to her man, who else would she listen to? If you ask me, Miss Shuero is quite lovely too. Brother Peiyuan will be blessed in the future, enjoying the best of both worlds with a devoted wife and a beautiful concubine. Wang Shuero pouted playfully. Pa, who wants to be a concubine? And Peiyuan's eyes darkened. This lifetime, I won't let you be a concubine. Wang Shuero froze, her beautiful eyes brimming with tears. What a perfectly matched pair. My heart skipped a beat too. Ever since Peiyuan appeared at my doorstep this morning, I'd been certain he'd one day become the top scholar. And now, with his words, this lifetime it wasn't hard to guess had reincarnated too. She couldn't stand it anymore. Hey, you over there. Our young mistress and that guy aren't engaged anymore. We're not in each other's way. You've eaten so much food. Yet your mouths are like leaky buckets spewing nonsense everywhere. Think you're the rain god or something. Everyone froze. And Peiyuan smiled indifferently. In a few days, she'll be begging me to take her back. That's called playing hard to get. Wang Shuero smiled gently. Indeed, a merchant's daughter unlike me, who maintains decorum. She's always been fond of clinging to my cousin. She was furious tonight, likely because her little foodie had been snubbed. My young mistress was blind in the eyes, blind in the heart, and bald in the brain to ever fancy. I coughed violently, and she amended her words. Miss Wang has no real standing. She's always clinging to my cousin, calling him cousin this and cousin that. What's that all about? Look at her, the only woman sitting among all these men, lecturing about propriety. Doesn't she have any self-respect? She wants to have her cake and eat it too, demanding respect while acting like a hypocrite. I gave she a thumbs up. Wang Zura's face darkened. Throughout the meal, whatever I ordered, she demanded too. If it wasn't available, she'd snatch it. Take it. Take it all. Don't be shy. I responded with uncharacteristic docility. I glanced over. That table must have racked up around 500 taels of silver. Enough to cover an ordinary person's annual expenses with change left over. After eating and drinking our fill, I hopped into the carriage to head back to the mansion. Unexpectedly, and Peiyuan stormed up to block the carriage, fuming. Why wasn't my table included in the bill? She and I were stunned. We didn't eat there. Why should we pay for your table? He frowned. But you always paid before, or charged it to your account. I was speechless. You know it was before. What does that have to do with me now? Do I look like some idiot who enjoys picking up other people's tabs? The innkeeper urged him to settle the bill from behind, making Peiyuan grow increasingly irritable. Su Liyun, Stop acting up. I'm losing patience. Fine. Then I'll revoke this month's punishment of not letting you see me. Is that acceptable? Even my coachman couldn't bear to listen anymore. Miss. Hold on tight. The coachman pulled tight on the reins, and the carriage shot forward in an instant. Dust kicked up by the horse's hoof sprayed right into Payuan's face. Long after we were gone, the coachman still looked as if had swallowed a fly. Listening to that would make even a horse vomit. Shortly after arriving home, Payuan stormed in, fury evident. Trailing behind him was that dear cousin, Wang Shuero, standing beneath the flower trellis in his deep blue robe. Payuan's features were strikingly handsome. No wonder the me from my past life, Wang Shuero, and later the princess, all fell for him. Pfft, how shallow. I gave Yunyi, my chess partner, a few extra glances before washing my eyes. He was the true peerless beauty. Yin Yithit was the one ID picked up and raised after finding him outside my door last time. Give him a good wash, and head outshine Payuan by a mile. Payuan shouted angrily. Su Layun. Did your coachman rush off to be reincarnated? His horse's hooves kicked dust all over me. What rotten luck. You don't discipline servants like this properly. It's like the upper beam is crooked, so the lower beam follows suit. I pressed my hand to my forehead. You're right. Payuan's expression softened. The coachman was summoned over quickly. I scolded him sternly. How dare you serve as my coachman, with driving skills this impressive? Go collect your 10 taels of silver reward from the steward right now. Head home early to feast and reflect on your actions. A flicker of gratitude passed through the driver's eyes, Payuan growled under his breath. How long do you intend to keep this up? My patience has its limits. Only then did he seem to notice Yunyi. And who did you find this pretty boy? Are you deliberately trying to provoke me? Yunyi's eyes darkened momentarily before a smirk touched his lips as he looked at Payuan. And who might this be? We both seemed to suddenly share an unspoken understanding. He's your previous one. Yunyi's gaze turned sly. Oh, the ex-husband, the former one. My apologies. My apologies. I shook my head. What's there to be sorry about? Him. He's mediocre inside and out. Nothing about him deserves your respect. Payuan's face turned green, then black, then green again. Wang Shirero looked like a mother bear protecting her cub. Su Layun, you're shameless. Saying things like that is an insult to civility. My cousin is the future top scholar. How could he possibly be compared to your pretty boy? You keep going on about top scholar this and top scholar that. Is it like 9 silver coins with free shipping? So cheap it just happens to land on you. Xiaoxu wasn't about to back down. Likely still fuming over missing out on the pigeon meat tonight. Payuan shook his head. No point arguing with fools. Wang Shirero straightened her back. What would a mere maid know? My cousin is the one the headmaster of Han's Han Academy has his eye on. Students the headmaster favors are potential top-tier scholars. He even waives my cousin's tuition fees every year in honor not everyone gets. A proud expression flashed across Payuan's face, his jawline hardening. Xiaoxi crossed her arms. Oh, if I were to casually mention that Miss N pays scholar ANS tuition fees every year, might that hurt your pride a little? Payuan chuckled. Is that so? Your mistress certainly has discerning taste. Xiaoxi rolled her eyes. My young mistress has discernment, but not much. She stopped paying just the other day. The moment he heard the tuition had said no small Suman Payuan's face darkened instantly. Su Layun. This behavior of yours is pure jealousy. You're just trying to force me to turn around and appease you. But I'm not in the mood today. First, hand over the bill for the Wangxian Pavilion and tomorrow's tuition fees. Then I might consider it. Me, Yunyi, and Xiaoxi all wore identical expressions. Staring at Payuan as if he were a complete fool, Wang Shirero seized the chance to assert herself. If you hadn't refused to pay, would my cousin have had to lower himself to beg the shopkeeper for credit? Where in his life has he ever endured such humiliation, especially on my birthday? Ah. The real issue was ruining her birthday banquet. And Peiyuan soothed her softly. Shuero, don't cry. It's my fault you didn't have a proper birthday. It's not my cousin's fault. Nor yours. It's all Su Laian's fault that petty-minded woman humiliated you. And she still hasn't shown any remorse. Yuni shot me a glance, as if to say, what's wrong with these two? My head ached. My house isn't a stage. Stop putting on a show in front of me. And Peiyuan shot me a dark, menacing look. How did you turn into this person, after marrying me in my past life? His career soared. When my family went bankrupt, his chauvinism only grew worse, accustomed to bossing people around at home. He couldn't shake that habit even after reincarnating. That's why he stubbornly believed I still belonged to his family, that everything of mine should be his. I frowned. Had he somehow discovered my rebirth? And Peiyuan narrowed his eyes, studying me for a long moment. Su Liyun. This is love turned to hate. Your perspective is far too narrow. Oh, so that's what he meant. False alarm. I laughed bitterly. Love my ass. Butler, open the door and let the dogs out to escort our guest. And Peiyuan's gaze lingered between me and Yuni. Filled with displeasure. Men's inherent flaws: they can choose not to love you. They can have multiple wives and concubines. But once they deem a woman belongs within their sphere, she must revolve around them. The universe must revolve around him. That's their mysteriously confident possessiveness. Wang Zura's artificial parrot chimed in. How is this pretty boy any better than my cousin? She expected me to list all my cousin's flaws. Men care about face it, get angry and resentful, blaming me. That's exactly what she wanted. It wasn't her fault people's pursuits differ. She craved clinging to a man, surviving on that cheap affection. I was different, with money and freedom. Why covet the empty title of a top scholar's wife, especially when he was a rotten cucumber? I smiled. Aw, you lack experience. You won't know what's good until you try it. How could you understand just from my words? My gaze deliberately swept up and down Yuni, mirroring the expressions of Peiyuan's rowdy friends when they ogled pretty girls on the street. Yuni froze, his ears turning slightly red. His eyes seemed to say, so this is the kind of person you really are. Su Liyun. Wang Shuero spat. Shameless. And Peiyuan's face tightened. Frivolous. Even now, he clung to his damn, pitiful pride. Su Liyun. I know you admire my calligraphy, revere my talent. I stayed up countless nights composing poems for you. What has this pretty boy ever done for you? He clearly aimed for emotional appeal. But his words only invited a slap. Honestly, I can't stand men dredging up the past. Oh, I was almost moved. You think I'm uneducated. How many poems from the Book of Songs and the Songs of Chu are in there? You spent all night copying someone else's work. When you took the imperial exams, did you even finish writing your essay? This time, no steward needed to shoo him away, and Peiyuan was driven off by his own fury. He and Wang Shuero were strutting so arrogantly they nearly tripped over my doorstep. Chipping off a corner of the wood, the steward narrowed his eyes, picked up his brush, and recorded. Premium pinewood. Compensation. 10 taels of silver for repairs. And Peiyuan and Wang Shuero fled as if their feet were on wheels. I thought Peiyuan would finally back off. After all, scraping together that silver would keep him busy for quite some time. But a few days later, as I passed through East Street collecting debts and had xiaoshu by a stuffed duck, I was suddenly yanked into an alleyway. And Peiyuan stared at me. No wonder you seemed different lately. Su Liyun, if I recall correctly, at this time in your life, you wouldn't even know what the Book of Songs or the Songs of Chu were. That was it. In my past life, my father only prospered in middle age. As a child, I had no money for schooling. As I grew older, I was busy helping my father with his business, running errands and managing affairs. I only knew a few simple characters from the ledgers. That's why I admired strength. Why I was obsessed with scholars. I craved what I lacked. which is why I treasured the poems he devotedly gifted me. After our marriage, and Peiyuan feared my public appearances would tarnish his reputation. It was only during my idle hours at home that I picked up books again to study. Though Peiyuan lacked emotional intelligence, he was, after all, a former top scholar. Intelligence, occasionally, was not entirely absent. So, Ayun, you've reincarnated too, right? I sneered coldly. Don't call me that. We're no longer connected. He scoffed. Whether we're connected is for me to decide. By the way, the salt inspector will arrive in a few days. I have detailed ledgers documenting your father's illegal salt trade. Smuggling salt was a capital offense in our dynasty, so Peiyuan had been laying the groundwork this early. It was just that in my past life, I was blind, utterly devoted to him. So he hadn't exploited this weakness yet. He stared at me unwaveringly, his narcissism flaring up again. You hate me now because you love me, right? Blaming me for demoting you to a concubine in our past life. But what choice did I have? Your father broke the law. Yet I still let you be the primary wife. Did I want to lose face? This time, I promise not to report your father as long as you obey me. I suppressed my disgust. What do you want me to do? I'll give you a chance to continue funding me. After I pass the imperial exams, I'll elevate you to a noble concubine. You won't need to run the business anymore. It's more appropriate to register your family's assets under my name. A woman appearing in public all day long is disgraceful. You'll stay home and care for your mother-in-law. My mother has trouble walking. Every day. You'll soak her feet and massage them yourself. Don't repeat the mistakes of your past life. Don't provoke her. When she throws tantrums, endure her beatings and scoldings. She's old now. Even if she hits you a few times, how much pain could it really be? Don't defy her. Give me more children's sons. Specifically, my mother adores grandsons. While you're still young, bear one each year. Not too many, 4 or 5 will suffice. The sons will be registered under Zura's name. She is the legitimate wife after all. Propriety must be upheld. You can raise the daughters yourself. Anne. This nonsense was filthy to my ears. I cut him off quickly. Don't, Anne. Even tofu has brains. You really don't. Do you even hear yourself talking? Is this human speech? He curved his lips into a smile. That's not for you to decide. And Peiyuan slowly edged closer. The alley was a dead end, silent and deserted. What? Was he planning to force himself on me? Using that vulgar, tired tactic of ruining a woman's reputation. I lifted my knee slightly. If he pushed it, I wouldn't hesitate to cripple him. Unexpectedly, he stopped just a fist's length away. Then he began tugging at his own belt, pulling at his outer robe. Was he trying to seduce me? Painfully embarrassing. Truly painful. That scrawny frame. How could it compare to Yunyi's rock-hard abs? The eyes. Like the mouth. Once they've tasted rare delicacies, can't stomach coarse gruel. I recalled when I first took Yunyi back to the mansion and told him to bathe. ID just turned to hand him clothes when he stripped faster than I could blink. Back then, I was forced to see his lean, defined abs and deep line, and I shamefully got a nosebleed. Wiping the blood, I sternly lectured him. Yunyi, a young man must know how to protect himself in public. If you're bathing, just bathe. Why take off your clothes? Yunyi looked utterly bewildered. As long as I wasn't embarrassed. It was their problem. I strode out of the room with righteous indignation. Thinking back now, my face still flushes, and Peiyuan thought I was captivated by his looks. He smirked smugly, raised his chin, and thrust an arm toward me, blushing. Knew you were lusting after my good looks. Dream Oni won't let you have your way so easily. My ass, you're handsome. I snapped. Back off. Your breath reeks of last night's leek and egg stir-fry. He held his belt in one hand while rubbing his chin with the other. Edging closer, my knee was primed for action, ready to deliver a crushing blow that would leave him unable to produce offspring. make him unfit to be a top scholar. But perhaps a eunuch would suit him. But then, with a wicked, devilish grin, he turned and strode swiftly away. Huh. What's this all about? I stared at him as if he were some unsolved mystery of the world. Only when he reached the alley entrance did Yuan begin fastening his belt and adjusting his outer robe. His face wore a flustered expression, as if to say, regardless of whether you have business or not. We certainly had business in this alley. To the people at the street corner, seeing a man and woman alone together in an alley, both disheveled, the implications were obvious. In broad daylight. How dare they? Thrilling. Young people these days sure know how to have fun. A scholar like Mr. N. So upright and virtuous. That Su Liyun must have seduced him. Ugh. A merchant's daughter she's never been a proper woman. Hey, you don't get it. She can handle those big shots in business. She earned it with her body. Especially my business rivals unable to compete with me. They resort to insulting women to save face with their trash talk. Gossip mongers thrive on half-truths, fragments of reality twisted beyond recognition. And Yuan truly is a master of stream of consciousness acting. Had he forced himself on me just now, my screams would have drawn passers-by too risky. But emerging this way, silent and half-exposed, stirs far wilder imaginations. And Yuan played a ruthless hand, determined to ruin my reputation for life. I glanced toward the upstairs window of the herbalist shop at the alley entrance. A flash of crimson sleeves swept past. Thankfully, one person witnessed the truth. Sure enough, the next day Yuan arrived empty-handed to propose marriage. I had the steward shoo him away with a broom. He merely flicked his outer robe. Look at this. Some women just can't be satisfied. I took responsibility for her. Yet she treats me like this. The bewildered onlookers murmured among themselves. Exactly. What is Miss Su thinking? After what happened yesterday, if she won't marry Scholarin, who will she marry? Who would dare take her now? She disregards a woman's virtue, losing her chastity before marriage. A merchant's daughter like her is only good for a fling. At least Scholarin showed some backbone. Leading the chorus was Eremizi, the pancake vendor from East Street. He twisted his mouth. Well then, I'll reluctantly marry her myself. The crowd roared with laughter. Scholarin doesn't want her. Why would she ever look at a misshapen melon like you? Eremizi sneered. At least I'm a virgin. Su Liyun's a big slut, what's she being picky about? He grinned, teeth flashing, his jowls quivering, and Yuan stood hands behind his back, perfectly composed. It was obvious Eremizi was the ringleader had hired to stir up trouble. I yanked off my shoe and smacked Eremizi's face hard 4 or 5 times in quick succession. The crowd instantly fell silent as chickens. Eremizi's cheeks swelled rapidly. Do you know how you're going to die? How the hell? He covered his face in confusion, his words muffled. You'll die from talking too much. You venomous bitch. Su Liyun. I'm reporting this to the authorities. I bellowed. Anyone who witnessed Eremizi getting beaten can collect 10 taels of silver from Shaoxi. The onlookers collectively turned a blind eye. Eremizi swelled his own face. What does Miss Su have to do with it? Where's Eremizi? I didn't see him. Did you? Are you kidding? Why would I look at that unlucky thing? My eyes are only for silver. Eremizi glared at me with resentment, seething but silent. And Yuan sneered. Does getting angry help? If you want marry me, who else would you marry? After all, in these alleys, we're a perfect match. Affinity my ass. I'll report you for defaming my honor. The female coroner can verify my purity. If you're convicted, you can kiss this year's imperial exams goodbye. Any more nonsense, and I wouldn't mind breaking his third leg. And Yuan drew closer, his voice low. So what if she verifies it? Yesterday, we were completely undressed, exposed to each other. We were more than husband and wife. I hold the final say on this. Even if you're a virgin, how will you defend yourself against the rumors? I sneered coldly. You think people will just believe your word. And Pei-yuan laughed frivolously, deliberately raising his voice. Su Liyun, the plum blossom birthmark on your chest is the proof. That plum blossom birthmark could only be seen when one was undressed. My fingertips dug into my flesh. In my past life, we were husband and wifey, knew this well. Who would believe me if I said we'd been reborn? Even if they did, they'd seize us as demons. And Pei-yuan was certain I couldn't turn the situation around. Xiao Shi stood by, tears streaming down her face. That foolish girl. In my past life, my liver qi stagnated, leading to consumption. Everyone shunned me like a plague, but only Xiao Shi stayed by my side, tending to me with unwavering devotion. And Pei-yuan's mother-in-law had always disliked me. She bullied me while I lay sick in bed and took her frustrations out on Xiao Shi, selling her into the brothel. The little glutton refused to serve customers even when starving. Skinny as a rail, eyes bulging, she crawled through a dog hole during a brothel fire to find me, while feeding me congee after days of hunger. She wept. Miss, you're as thin as paper. Truth was, she was thinner than me. I struggled to my feet, begging my mother-in-law to spare Xiao Shi. Kowtowing to her, I smashed my head open, blood streaming down my forehead and blurring my vision. Yet she remained cold-faced as she ordered the brothel men to drag Xiao Shi back inside. I pleaded with Pei-yuan, but he only said indifferently, a worthless life sold is sold. After being taken back, the madam ordered someone to stuff a cat into Xiao Xi's trouser leg, tie it tightly, and beat the cat with a thick stick. The cat scrambled frantically inside the leg, its sharp claws torturing Xiao Xi nearly to death. Unable to bear the agony, she leaped from the upper floor. My thoughts snapped back. I wiped Xiao Zai's tears. Don't cry. We're not that fragile in this life. And Pei-yuan brushed his sleeves, ordering his steward to prepare ample silver, his expression smug and triumphant. I told you days agony patience has limits. You wouldn't listen, would you? Are you satisfied with this mess? I smiled. Only by grasping fate in my own hands could I make flowers bloom from my palms. Someone had told me that in my past life. This time, I remembered it well. And Pei-yuan, do you think no one saw the truth? Someone watched the entire scene from the attic at the alley entrance yesterday. A flicker of panic flickered in Pei-yuan's eyes. Impossible. I called out loudly, Wang Shuero, come tell us what you saw. At the mention of Wang Zura's name, and Pei-yuan's expression instantly relaxed. He smiled. Su Liyun, Shuero is my cousin. But his relief was premature. Wang Shuero stepped forward, twisting a handkerchief in her hands. That's Scholar An's cousin, right? Did Su Liyun bring her to testify? Even if she testifies, it'll be false. Probably bribed by Su Liyun. Wang Shuero hesitated for a moment, then gritted her teeth and took the plunge. Yesterday, I was in the corner tower and saw my cousin and her behaving appropriately. Su Liyun is completely innocent. Her words rang out with conviction. I was relieved she'd finally seen the light. Yesterday, Wang Shuero had taken the bird's nest ID given her to sell on the black market. By chance, she saw her cousin pull me into an alleyway. Crouching low, she watched from the attic for a long while. The gossipers were right, Wang Shuero really had been bought off. Yesterday, I made a blunt exchange with her 100,000 taels of silver. The stack of banknotes slammed onto the table, making her heart tremble. When the time comes, just tell the truth. Su Liyun, why should I, Wang Shuero, listen to you? Because of my 100,000 taels of silver. Men, they're no match for money. A woman who pretends to eat bird's nest but secretly sells it to herbal shops, stashing the profits in money houses without anyone noticing. Wang Shuero isn't exactly a saint either. While Pei-yuan's been swamped with silver troubles lately, she hasn't lifted a finger to help. Clearly, their bond wasn't as deep as I'd imagined. I offered her some advice. Men are never reliable. Clinging to one like a parasitic vine is never wise. If you know how to fleece me for small favors, why not aim for a bigger score? Wang Shirero paused, her eyes misting over. When I was most isolated and helpless, it was my cousin who brought me home, fed me, clothed me. In my eyes, he's the man who's been best to me. I chuckled. Sis, you just haven't seen enough men yet. Don't look at what he can give you now, look at what he can give you when he has something. That's what truly matters. Wang Shirero looked utterly bewildered. I continued my brainwashing her analysis. With my support, he's got food and shelter covered. What's feeding one more mouth? It's like scooping a ladle of water from a lake. But when he's got only a penny left, only a ladle of water, if he still chooses to give it to you, that's true kindness. Wang Shirero still looked lost. I upped the ante. Do you really enjoy washing that old hag's stinky feet every day? And Pai Yuan's mother demanded Wang Shirero attend to her foot baths daily, flaunting her status as the matriarch. What a disgusting habit for a dead old woman. Wang Shirero furrowed her delicate brows. I coaxed her gently, holding her hand. How could these hands be used to wash stinky feet? They should be playing music, painting, or enjoying tea and pastries. Hands are a woman's second skin. You know, using your own skin to rub someone else's feet. What a waste. I deliberately swiped her fingertips. Yikes. Such delicate hands. Yet the calluses are thick as tree bark. TSK TSK tisk. My little she does hand masks. Why don't you? How's she doing hand masks? That's a joke. I don't do them either. We value natural beauty. I clicked my tongue for ages, looking as heartbroken as if she'd disfigured herself. And this is before marriage. After you're wed. Enduring daily grindings from the old Haglafell be more bitter than yellow gentian. Wang Shirero suddenly withdrew her hand, biting her lower lip with her pearly teeth. Beauty truly is a woman's nature. The crowd erupted in commotion. Wang Shirero had always been my sworn rival. And she was also in Pai Yuan's own cousin. Logically, she shouldn't have spoken up for me. Public opinion was overwhelmingly against me. How utterly vulgar. Scholarin must have cracked his abacus beads. Scholarin is mad with desire to marry the richest man's daughter. This slanderer of Huang Yao should be reported to the authorities. Cut out his tongue in cucumber. And Pei Yuan seethed with rage, yet suppressed his anger, feigning deep sorrow. Shuero, is this how you love me? I was determined to make you my legitimate wife. And this is how you treat me. Why? She stood with hands on hips, laughing. Why? That's the truth, isn't it? It's not like my young mistress forced her to say it. My head spun. She was such a jinx, whatever she said came true. But Wang Shirero suddenly smiled, tucking a stray lock of hair behind her ear. Su Liyun. Did you really think I'd just listen to you? How could 100,000 tales of silver compare to the glory of being the top scholar's wife? Cousin. Everything I said today was because Su Liyun forced me. She told me not to trust men. But I didn't listen. See. I'm good to you. And Pei Yuan gazed deeply at Wang Shirero. Cousin. I won't let you down. She trembled with fury. Wang Zura's love-struck brain is beyond saving. This betrayal. You've played her like a puppet. I gazed into the distance. The sun had retreated behind clouds. Yet faint light lingered. Don't fume. People have their own paths. Miss. It's over. Only if Pei Yuan personally admits your innocence will this be settled. I smiled. Then let him admit it himself. She gasped. What did you just say? I asked Pei Yuan softly. In this new life, are you truly content to live as husband and concubine with Wang Shirero and me? And Pei Yuan frowned at me. Have you forgotten our past life? After you became the top scholar, the prince's fleeting glance at you in the imperial hall, the princess, young and beautiful, was captivated by the top scholar, a rare find with both looks and talent. But she held firm. I won't marry a married man, no matter how outstanding, nor will I take a second wife. After returning home that day, and Peiyuan was gloomy for a while, having missed his chance to become a prince consort. He spent his days scolding servants and beating chickens, and Peiyuan chuckled. What difference does it make? They'll simply take you as a concubine. The position of wife remains vacant anyway. I smiled back, and Peiyuan. The contract dissolving our betrothal bore only your signature. I never signed it. In this dynasty, dissolving a betrothal requires signatures from both parties to be valid. In other words, on the marriage contract. I remained his future legitimate wife, and Peiyuan frowned and fell silent. I knew he was calculating how to maximize his advantage. I can sign the annulment papers. I can even help you marry the princess. And Peiyuan scrutinized me. Why? I pointed angrily at Wang Shuero. That bitch. Why should she be the wife and I the concubine? I refuse to accept it. I'm the kind of person who picks out the biggest peanuts to eat. How could I possibly swallow this humiliation? If the princess were the main wife and I the concubine, I could accept it. Xiao Shi looked at me in disbelief. Miss. Have you lost your mind? Has your love-struck brain grown back? You want to be his concubine? And Peiyuan's lips curved into a smirk. I knew it. How could you not like me? You've gone and made such a mess. Some women are just so pathetic. Just then, a squadron of officers arrived to clear the way. Silence. Step aside. The Princess Imperial carriage will arrive at the Su residence shortly. Everyone gasped. What's happening? I smiled. The princess is touring the city. I'm honored she chose our Su residence as her lodging. The Su family was the wealthiest in the city, with exquisite and spacious courtyards. It made sense for the princess to rest here during her travels. Securing such a distinguished guest was entirely Yunyi's doing. Faced with this situation, and Peiyuan grew impatient. Su Liyun. Just sign the annulment agreement. I promise Shirero will be your concubine. I feigned regret. What good would signing do, now that we've shared physical intimacy? It's become common knowledge. The princess will surely take offense. Your premarital indiscretion. The princess isn't like ordinary women. Throughout history, every imperial consort has been pure and chaste. A princess wouldn't want a rotten cucumber. And Peiyuan pondered for a moment, then addressed the onlookers. Today was all a misunderstanding, just a joke I played on everyone. Su Liyun and I are completely pure. The crowd nearly spat in his face. Pfft. You think well, believe whatever you say. You wasted half my day here gossiping. ID just cracked open the melon rind when you come out with this joke nonsense. What's this nonsense? Has Scholar and lost his mind? And Peiyuan bellowed. I am the future prince consort. Slandering the prince consort is a capital offense. Disband. Stop spreading rumors. The onlookers, rarely encountering such brazen audacity, were intimidated into silence. They grumbled and shuffled away. Little did they know that this foolhardy act of bellowing his future status as crown prince consort in public was itself a Crimea grave offense against the royal family. Once the crowd dispersed, I signed the annulment papers and tossed them at Peiyuan. Xiao Shi tugged at my arm, still shaken. That scared me to death. Thank goodness you've come to your senses, miss. Wang Shuero frowned, tugging at his sleeve. Cousin, you promised me as your primary wife. Don't listen to Su Liyun. The prince's carriage procession came into view, the clatter of hooves growing louder, and Peiyuan grew impatient. We'll talk about this when we get back. Wang Shuero wouldn't relent, and Peiyuan's face darkened. You're just a mountain pheasant. She's a phoenix. What's so humiliating about being a concubine, compared to the princess and fame? Wang Zuoruhi's once beloved white moonlight suddenly lost all significance. Had completely forgotten that just moments ago, this woman had willingly forsaken 100,000 taels of silver to protect his reputation. Wang Zuoru's eyes flashed red as she turned to look at me. I smiled at her. It was all your own choice. And Peiyuan smoothed his robes and stood at the doorway, preparing to receive the princess. But he wasn't yet the top scholar. And this wasn't the imperial throne hall. He struck what he thought was a devilishly dashing pose. He waited for the princess to cast another fleeting glance his way. Little did he know. The princess did glance only to dismissively remark, "That lowlife. Preening like a peacock over there. Get rid of him." And Payuan's face froze. I pinched my thigh to stifle my laughter. And Payuan whispered, "You recommended me. The princess just hasn't recognized my worth yet." I didn't want to deal with him, but he started nagging and threatening me with the fact that my father had been smuggling salt. What choice did I have? I had to give in to his blackmail. I told him to wait outside while I relayed a message to the prince's personal maid. But the maid shot back. "A mere scholar wants to see the princess. Our princess doesn't entertain just any Tom, Dick, or Harry. Throw him out." And Payuan clearly took a hit. Still not giving up, he crouched to eavesdrop. From beneath the grapevine came bursts of the prince's laughter, mixed with a man's voice. "Who's in there?" "Well, besides that good-for-nothing vagabond Yun Yuho can't write poetry or paint. Just a pretty face, who else could it be?" And Payuan instantly felt rather superior, his eyes dripping with contempt. "That kind of male fox spirit. Seducing you all to come crawling." I added fuel to the fire. "The princess is only staying one night. She'll be leaving tomorrow. There's not much time left for flirting." And Payuan gritted his teeth, rushed forward, and knelt down. "Princess, you absolutely must not trust this Yuni. He's nothing but a pretty boy." The princess glanced at Yuni and smiled. "Well then, tell me all about it." And Payuan began spinning a tall tale about how Yuni and I were secretly involved. How we were secretly meeting behind closed doors. Painting a vivid picture with every detail. Yuni looked at me and smiled. "I had no idea Miss Sue and I were so deeply in love. This pretty boy is nothing but a rotten cucumber. How could he possibly be worthy of a princess of your noble birth?" The princess' almond eyes suddenly widened. "Slap him." And Payuan was struck several times across the face for no apparent reason. Anger flared within him, but he forced it back down. This servant offered well-intentioned advice, yet the princess remains blinded by that pretty boy. The princess snapped, "How dare you? Who dares call my brother a pretty boy? A rotten cucumber?" The crowd froze in shock. Yuni casually fanned himself with a bone fan, radiating an air of refined nobility. The prince's expression turned stern. "The crown prince of this realm. How dare you slander him? Yuni is the crown prince." And Payuan's legs instantly went weak. Yuni was the alias of Crown Prince Zhouyu, who vanished among commoners the year in Payuan became top scholar. Naturally, and Payuan had never seen Yuni, but I had. We met while I was visiting Xiao Zai's grave. He collapsed before me, gravely wounded. His clothes in tatters, his body riddled with blood-soaked holes. Yet he stubbornly held a dagger to my throat, demanding I save him. "I want," I replied without a flicker of fear. "You're not afraid of death. Why should I?" A man already doomed to die fears nothing. He studied me closely, withered and gaunt, coughing up copious amounts of blood. He nearly cursed. "Is that consumptive plague contagious?" I coughed a mouthful of blood onto his hand and nodded. In the end, I couldn't tell if he was supporting me or I was supporting him. Exhausting our last ounce of strength, we collapsed in the wilderness, unable to walk any further. The sky was filled with dazzling stars, and the wild wind was crisp and refreshing, perhaps because we were both dying. We spoke without restraint. He told me he was the crown prince, the future heir to the throne. In that treacherous imperial court, fathers and sons were not like true fathers and sons. Brothers were not like true brothers. For the throne, anything could be sacrificed. Any means justified. He had merely left the palace as a royal example to aid disaster relief, only to be betrayed by his own brother and pushed into the raging floodwaters, fleeing relentless pursuit. His loyal guards were slaughtered within the palace walls, all with his father's tacit approval. As emperor, he had over 30 sons. Any could survive. The strongest would inherit the throne. During his years on the run, he dared not contact anyone. unsure who might be an enemy's confidant. How did you endure all these years? He chuckled softly, but didn't answer my question directly. After a long pause, he murmured, "Only by clutching fate in your own hands do you have a chance to make flowers bloom from your palms. But fate isn't something we can control." In the dead of night, several black-clad figures brandished swords at us. I thought he'd kick me out to block the blades. Instead, he gathered all his strength, clutched me, and rolled down the cliff. We ended up dangling from a withered tree. The black-clad men couldn't see us, believing we'd fallen to the cliff's base. A dead tree couldn't bear the weight of two. I stared down at the pitch-black expanse below, like a man-eating beast. I stammered, "Then you must jump. You are the future son of heaven. A son of heaven must love his people." He laughed. "I just saved you, and now you ask me to die. How cruel you are. Don't blame me. Who in this world doesn't want to live? Everyone fears death." The withered branches groaned as if about to snap. "Enough. Enough. He did save my life just now, and I wasn't long for this world anyway." I glanced at the stars, closed my eyes, and leaped downward. I chose death's door, leaving him a door to life. I saw the astonishment in his eyes. Alas, neither of us would survive in the end. As I plummeted, several finely crafted bows were trained upon him. It must be said, his imperial kin were no pushovers. They wouldn't assume you were dead just because they couldn't find you. They'd comb the mountains inch by inch until they found either the person or the body. And the Yin-Yi of today, he too had been reborn. This time, he chose to wait at the Sioux residence gates for an opportunity. His maternal uncle, the salt inspector, was his ticket back to the palace, and my father, a renowned salt merchant in the city, made the timing perfect. And Peiyuan probably never dreamed that the fair-faced youth was the crown prince. The princess and crown prince shared no rivalry for the throne. Born of the same mother, their bond was deep. She had come to escort the crown prince back to the palace, and Peiyuan's face drained of color as he stumbled out of my home, utterly disoriented. But as he turned away, his gaze locked on Medark and menacing, like a venom-filled snake. I frowned. Was he up to no good again? Then I'd have to speed things up. 3 days later, at midnight, by the eastern riverbank, a slender woman stood facing the wind, her face hidden beneath a conical hat and veil. She glanced warily around before handing me the ledger and items. I smiled. Success. She nodded while taking my stack of silver notes without hesitation. Took some effort, found it in his study. Normally, no one's allowed in there. Guess he felt guilty toward me these past days, so his guard wasn't as tight. Counting the notes, she continued. "That old hag made me scrub her feet again. Complained the water was too cold. Then beat me senseless. So I tossed a handful of fire into the woodshed, let her warm up all over. The flames crackled and roared. Felt damn good. I gave her a thumbs up. You rock," pointing to the prepared carriage nearby. I told her, "Once you're out of the east gate, head north. The farther you go, the freer you'll be. Tuck the banknotes into your sleeves or sew them into your shoes, it's all up to you. Just remember, when you're out in the world, don't flaunt your wealth." A gentle breeze lifted her veil. Wang Zura's eyes glistened with tears. "Su Liyun. Thank you." I patted her shoulder. "You're welcome. You played that betrayal act flawlessly that day. I almost believed you'd really switched sides." Wang Shirero gave an embarrassed smile, then hesitated as if she wanted to say more. "Su Liyun. 100,000 taels is truly excessive. Why are you willing to give me so much?" "Why indeed?" Wang Shirero. "Do you believe in past lives?" Wang Shirero didn't believe it. In a past life, Xiao Shi fell from the brothel's upper floor. The madam announced the death. If you want the body, take it back and bury it. If not, they'll just toss it into the random grave. And Peiyuan's mother naturally wouldn't take it. Throw it away. Throw it away. Bringing back that unlucky thing to bury would be a waste of silver. Unbeknownst to me, it was Wang Shuero who used her personal savings to secretly bury Xiaoxi. The 100,000 taels, aside from buying evidence against my father's salt smuggling, were meant to repay that sliver of kindness she showed Xiaoxi in her past life. Wang Shuero, go. Don't be confined to the backyard like a parasitic vine. The sky is vast. The sea is wide, fly freely. You needn't be a caged bird. I heard in Peiyuan went mad with rage that night. The house burned, and the person was gone. When driven to desperation, people inevitably lash out. Some ascend to heaven, others descend to hell, and Peiyuan chose the most twisted path. Leveraging memories from his past life, he began secretly selling exam questions. His scheme flourished. Aided by my covert efforts spreading misleading rumors, he's the future imperial son-in-law. The royal family will surely give their own son-in-law preferential treatment. Why doubt it? He's the only scholar ever granted an audience with the princess at the Su residence. Do you think anyone can just meet the princess? Got it. 10 years of grueling study, all for a single name on the golden list. Herd mentality took hold. If he bought the questions, so would I. Everyone bought them, and Peiyuan raked in 50,000 taels of silver, repurchasing property and hiring servants. For a time, he basked in triumph. He envisioned entering the Golden Hall after the exams. Following the script of his past life, the princess would surely be captivated anew by his brilliance. But this time, his calculations were off. During the 3 days of the examination, the sky was a clear, azure blue. Yet Peiyuan emerged from the examination hall with a face as ashen as death. How could this happen? In my previous life, this was the exact question. There can be no mistake. No. It must be a mistake somewhere. Before long, a mob swarmed around him, beating him. Fraud. That wasn't the question at all. Return my silver. I spent days obsessing over this problem, working myself into a frenzy only to find it was the opposite question. Pay back within 3 days, or well, break your legs. Pay double. You must pay double. This time. And Peiyuan not only failed the exam himself, he was now drowning in debt. That day, and Peiyuan actually blocked my carriage, demanding silver. If you don't pay, the plum blossom mark on your chest will be known throughout the city by tomorrow. And Peiyuan, truthfully, I don't care much about my reputation either. Living through this life, staying alive matters more than anything. So your threats are useless to me. A flicker of madness danced in his eyes. You're just like Wang's Waru, a thankless bitch, a worthless slut. When I find her, I'll have her bound, stuffed into a sack, beaten half to death, and tossed into a brothel. Don't gloat, Su Liyun. I've already presented the evidence box to the Salt Commissioner. Your father can look forward to prison. This time, without my protection, you'll rot in prison just the same. I'll make sure the guards take good care of you. And Peiyuan's smile twisted into a hideous grimace, as if had finally gotten his revenge. With a sharp thud, a brocade box landed before him. The incorruptible Salt Commissioner appeared as if sent from heaven. Beside him, perched atop a horse, sat the Crown Prince, fresh from his campaign in the northern wastes. The Salt Commissioner inquired, who presented such impeccable evidence in this brocade box? And Peiyuan adjusted his hairband, a smirk playing on his lips. It was I, Your Honor. I beg you to examine it carefully. How dare you present this for my careful examination? The elderly Salt Commissioner's face twisted with fury, his beard quivering with rage, and Peiyuan froze. He picked up the brocade box and opened it. We were all stunned. Inside lay a book bearing 3 bold characters: the plum in the golden vase. For an upright old man like this Salt Commissioner, this book was utterly beyond his comprehension. How could this be? And Peiyuan roared like a raging emperor, his voice echoing 10 streets away. His eyes burned with venom as he fixed them on me. It's you. You ruined me, didn't you? I waved my hands dismissively. Impossible. I always buy legitimate copies. Yours was clearly a pirated edition. Who asked you that? His hand shot out, ready to strike. Before the blow landed, Yuni snapped his arm. Guards. Knock him unconscious. Bind him. Stuff him into a burlap sack. And toss him into his own courtyard. Send his maid to inform his mother the sack contains Wang Shuero. Yuni finished. Then winked at me. You're good at this, Your Highness. I cleared my throat. Isn't this a bit inappropriate? Xiao, she panicked. Miss, don't play the saintly martyr now. I curved my lips. Why the rush? I think stuffing his mouth with a stinky sock would be better. Everyone. That night, and Paiyuan's own maid claimed the sack contained Wang Shuero. An's mother, taking it at face value, grabbed a thick wooden stick and attacked. Blow after blow landed hard on the burlap sack. You worthless slut. What did you think you were doing scrubbing feet? Then you burn my house down. I'll beat you to death today. You lowly whore. You're not fit for my son. You should have been sold to a brothel. Today I'll break your legs. See if you can run then. Mrs. and deliberately targeted the lower body, striking the legs. As she beat, she cursed the victim's ancestors 18 generations back, hurling every vile insult imaginable. The figure inside the sack, its mouth gagged, emitted muffled sounds like the low growl of a wounded beast. Yunyi and I sat on the rooftop watching the spectacle. I wonder what she'll do when she finds out it's her own son. Yuni chuckled softly. It's not her son. What do you mean? That old hag only hits the legs. And Paiyuan's third leg is probably ruined. I still remembered in Paiyuan telling me in that alley that day. My mother's old. Even if she hits you a few times, how much could it hurt? Right. How much could it hurt? Hurt you to death. You scumbag. Exhausted from beating him, An's mother gasped for breath. Open it up. See if that bitch is dead. The girl tremblingly untied the burlap sack. An's mother nearly fainted, wailing like a ghost and cursing others madly. And Paiyuan would never become a top scholar now. But he could become a eunuch. His third leg, crippled by his own mother's hand, serves him right. Consumed by grief, An's mother took her frustration out on the maid beside her, digging her fingertips into the girl's eyes, ripping out her eyelashes. You worthless bitch. Why didn't you untie it sooner? Did you deliberately try to kill my son? Unable to bear the excruciating pain, the maid shoved her away. Unexpectedly, the well opening nearby had no cover. Mrs. and fell backward and tumbled in. Fortunately, the water was shallow, only reaching her knees. Not deep enough to drown her. Fearing retribution, the maid rolled up her bedding and fled. The other servants in the mansion had already scattered when in Paiyuan racked up a mountain of debt. An's mother was pulled out 5 days later. Her legs ruined from soaking in well water. Left unattended in bed, maggots began to breed in her flesh. And Paiyuan, busy serving time for his insolent claim of being the imperial son-in-law and his offense against the royal family, cared not a whit for his mother's fate. People sighed with pity. An's mother, who had loved soaking her feet in water all her life, had ultimately died from soaking her feet in well water. And Paiyuan never could have imagined this. When I took Yuni in, I made 2 demands. First, pardon my father. Second, alter the examination questions for this session. For the future emperor. This was no difficult task. Yuni, do you know why my family trafficked in salt? The court's regulations are harsh. A pound of coarse salt sells for 500 or 600 coins. Do you realize 500 coins could buy 50 bushels of wheat, 300 liters of glutinous rice, or 80 eggs? Yunyi's expression remained solemn. A problem with imperial control. Long-term salt deprivation causes dizziness, swelling, and weakness. When I was young, our family was poor and couldn't afford enough salt. My mother worked in the fields while dizzy and fell into a ditch, never to return. My father loved her deeply. He later became a merchant. He knew full well that private salt trade was illegal. But he couldn't bear it. Father only did what he could, secretly selling salt at rock-bottom prices a few times. That's how Inpayuan caught him. Yuni paused. One day, I will reform the salt merchant system. But you must understand, absolute fairness does not exist in this world. A breeze swept by, carrying a hint of biting cold. After returning from the northern campaign, Father Emperor's health has deteriorated. He wishes to abdicate early. Oh, this lifetime. He had finally reclaimed what he desired. I teased. Is he abdicating to make way for a worthy successor? Or did you force his hand? His smile held hidden meaning. What difference does it make? Yuni had changed. An aura of royalty now gradually enveloped him. Noble, cold, and unpredictable. The sunset dipped into the lake, its waters shimmering with iridescent hues. A rare tenderness graced Yuni's face. Yue Yun, would you come back to the palace with me? I met his gaze. Are you serious? His sincerity was written across his features. Very serious. I smiled. I'm afraid not. A flicker of loneliness passed through Yuni's beautiful eyes. Why? I lack the qualifications to be empress. I'm merely the daughter of a merchant. Nor do I wish to be one of your concubines. Whether empress or concubine, would be confined within those four walls, waiting daily for your favor, battling and scheming against other women. Eventually, my beauty would fade, and you'd bring new colors into the palace. That's not the life I want. Yuni smiled. You do think clearly. He fell silent for a moment. Then what do you want? Not to be a bird in a cage. To soar freely. Then, Layun, will you always remember me? Maybe I will. Maybe I want. Who knows? But Layun, I will never forget you. Years later, I heard the emperor's throne for empress remained vacant. I also heard he had adopted 2 new daughters. One was Princess Sile, the other Princess Nianyun. At that time, I was outside the pass with Xiaoxi. We ate grapes so green they seemed to drip with freshness. Sipping fine wine from a night-glow cup, we admired the sunset over Hechang City. Each sunset heralded the dawn of a new day. I cherished my present life. No longer a caged bird, free and joyful. The end.